Hey everybody, Senior Sedge here again, and today we are talking about one-word images. Originally developed by Ben Slavik back in the early days, he would take an image. The example he uses in his book is he'd take a cow and then just talking about the cow, they would add a bunch of details to it where it ended up being a skinny cow wearing jeans or something. Later, when he was teaching in an embassy school in India, he worked with smaller classes, and he really found that one-word images are really powerful in small classes or classes where just acting out a story is just not what they're into. But together you create a character, and you're going to see how I do this here in my adult class, and we'll take a look, and hopefully this is helpful.
Always want to hit the lights. We're now going to create a character together. Glenn, if you want to draw for us, and I don't think any other jobs, right? Because we're not going to take pictures of anything. We're not going to keep track. It's not about anybody in particular. Muy bien. Are you guys ready?
Sí.
Clase. Hay una comida. Hay una comida.
So what I've written on the board there just says there is a food, and I'm going to stress how it's not a normal food here. It's an interesting food that lives or whatever. But you don't have to start with food. It's one of the images that has a lot of energy because you invent pizza with eyes that runs around or whatever. It's got a lot of interest there. But you can do other objects, or you can even open it up to the class, like what is there is what some teachers will do. I like to do a class pet first, and then I do a food second, and then I do like an inanimate object third, and then I do like a monster fourth. But you don't have to follow that pattern at all. It's just kind of one that I've found to be helpful. So now I'm going to stress that it's not a normal food, it's an interesting food, it lives. Watch this.
Pero no es comida normal. No es comida normal. Es comida que vive.
Oh.
¿Comprende?
Sí, sí.
Ya, es comida que vive. La comida vive. ¿Qué comida es? ¿Qué comida es? ¿Qué tipo de comida es?
A noodle.
Ah, ok, es una pasta, un noodle,
An egg.
un huevo, un huevo. ¿Qué comida? Huevo, noodle.
So for whatever reason, they're not giving me a lot of suggestions here. So when has to do with story asking in general, but when you're not getting a lot of suggestions, I just go through and ask from each one of my learners what food is there, because I want to get lots of different suggestions. It makes the story better and more interesting.
Pollo. Pollo.
Euro.
Un euro. Oh, like
Yeah.
No.
the coin.
Yeah.
¿Qué comida es?
Desperado.
Ah, tomates pequeños.
A hamburger bun. Just the bun.
El pan de la
Yeah.
hamburguesa. Huh. ¿Qué comida es?
I'll take your hamburger.
Una hamburguesa. Una hamburguesa. Una hamburguesa. El pan de hamburguesa. Hamburguesa.
Popcorn.
Palomitas. Palomitas. I love it. I don't think it's
I
cute.
appreciate your
I do.
We're on board.
I'm watching a movie, I'm like, hand me them little doves.
That is
Okay.
fun.
Muy bien, muy bien. Clase. La comida es un huevo.
Oh.
Es un huevo.
I went with the egg because it's more common food, and I just envisioned a little egg with legs and arms sticking out, and I thought that would be an interesting image, but go with whatever has the energy.
es un huevo. El huevo vive.
Sí.
El huevo vive. El huevo vive. El huevo es grande, mediano o pequeño. Grande, es grande. Ajá. ¿Es más grande que yo?
Sí.
Ok, el huevo es grande. Es más grande que yo.
Notice here how I'm starting to demonstrate that the image that we're creating, the character we're creating, is actually in the room, and we're kind of like putting it in the room. And this is why Ben Slavic, he called his one-word images invisibles, because although they're not there, we're not seeing them literally, we're seeing them in our mind's eye as we create the story, and we're imagining that it's right there, and we're kind of playing that and pretending that the image is right there, and we're working with it.
Yo,
Como dinosaurio.
el huevo es más grande que un dinosaurio.
No, sorry. It is like a dinosaur.
Oh, el huevo de dinosaurio. Es huevo de dinosaurio.
I was thinking pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl es dinosaurio, Earl. Pterodactyl.
Stay with the little dove theme.
Ok. Hay un huevo grande. Hay un huevo grande. ¿Bien? Bien. ¿De qué color? ¿De qué color es el huevo?
Anaranjado.
Es anaranjado. Ok, perfecto. El huevo es anaranjado. Anaranjado. ¿Cómo se dice anaranjado en inglés?
Orange.
Orange. Ok. El huevo es grande, más grande que yo, y es anaranjado. Muy bien, muy bien. Y vive. El animal en el huevo, no vive. El huevo vive. ¿Comprenden?
Sí.
El huevo vive. ¿Tiene? Ojo.
So for the sake of time here, I'm going to skip the creation of it. If you want to see the full creation, I'll link that at the bottom, and you can see it all done. But eventually, through story asking, the class, we get this large orange egg with one small purple eye, two tiny arms, long legs, big mouth, and we get some details that way. I'm going to skip now ahead towards the end, and you can kind of see what I do here.
Hay un huevo, el huevo vive, es un huevo diferente, es grande, más grande que yo, es anaranjado, tiene un ojo morado y muy pequeño, y puede mirar muy bien. Tiene una boca grande, con la boca puede cantar y puede hablar, pero no puede hablar español, no puede hablar inglés, solo puede hablar árabe.
Here's a little example of where one-word images can be really powerful too, because I am focusing now on puede is able, and so I want to get some repetitions there. And so I'm going to make that a focus of the image that we're creating. What can this egg do? We find out he can speak Arabic, and we get lots of meaningful repetitions there, and then we'll type that up and we'll read it a bunch too.
Con Evan. Porque Evan puede hablar árabe. Bien o muy bien. Tú. Bien, ok. El huevo tiene brazos, pero son brazos pequeños. Tiene piernas y tiene piernas muy largas. Excelente. Ok. ¿Cómo se llama el huevo?
Edward.
Oh.
Edward.
You know, you say Edgar.
Edgar.
Oh, I said Edward.
Cindy said
Edward.
But I like Edgar.
Edgar.
Let's go with my main man, Edgar.
Edward.
Eggward.
See?
Oh.
Yes, exacto. Se llama Eggward. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
See?
¿Bien? Me gusta. Big round of applause. You guys came up with a great...
Okay, so the story's done, or the creation of the character is done. And my artist has been drawing all along, but I don't want to show his artwork yet to the class. Instead, I want all my learners to grab some scrap paper and draw what they see in their head. And I find this to be really helpful. While they're drawing, I am typing up the story. It's not really write and discuss because I'm not really interacting with them as they're drawing, but they can use my writing up there as a source to help them with drawing. They can use the board, their memory, etc. So here's where I do this.
Now, you got 5 minutes. Here's computer paper. Here's colored pencils. There's clipboards. Draw. Eggward. I'll be typing the story up as you're drawing. Eggward. Okay, you guys got about a minute left to try to finish what you can on your drawings.
Usually I like to time it that however long it takes me to type it up is the amount of time they get to draw their drawings. But you can play it by class. If you got quite a few kids that are just messing around or they don't really want to draw, you can speed that process up of the writing section. If you have a bunch of artists that really want to spend more time, you can slow it down a little bit here. But right now, as they're finishing up their drawings, I'm making sure the text looks good and is readable just from one page.
If you're struggling to come up with something in your drawing, you can read on your own right now and see if there's something in the text that you could draw out on your own.
So now here is where we'll read together from the board what I typed up. One thing I didn't do in class that I should have done is make everybody turn their artwork upside down, because you'll have a few artists that just can't, they can't stop drawing because they're really getting into it, which is a good sign that they're interested. But yeah, have them turn it upside down so that they pay attention to the reading.
All right, Glenn, you can keep your drawing going. Everybody else, let's take a look at the text. Actually, Glenn, will you quick hit the lights while you're right there? Hay un huevo. What's a huevo again?
Egg.
An egg, yeah. No es un huevo normal. Es un huevo que vive. It's an egg that lives, yeah, or that's alive. El huevo es grande. Es más grande que Señor Sedgwick.
Keep the video short. I'm just going to edit out the reading time, but I'm just drawing attention to trickier stuff and making sure that they understand the reading. And now we're going to transition into labeling. So I want them to look at the text, look at their drawings, and add little labels in the target language describing maybe what's going on. So maybe an arrow saying long legs in Spanish. And this is just a helpful way for them to do some reading and look at their drawings and make that connection.
Now, not for Glenn, I don't want you to do this, but everybody else with a pencil, will you do some labeling to your drawing? For example, you just like do a little arrow that says, in Spanish, ojo pequeño, small eye, or something like that. Just on like your margins over there, you're just writing a few labels in Spanish for your drawing.
Yeah, so that ends day one. And afterwards, I'm going to take the artwork from my artist. I'm going to scan that in from the copy machine, email it to myself as a PDF. And then at day two, we'll read the story again, make sure we're clear there, and then we'll talk about Glenn's artwork. We'll check this out here.
Hay un huevo. What's a huevo?
Egg.
An egg, yeah, un huevo. No es un huevo normal. Es un huevo que vive.
So I reread it again as a class, and then I pair them up to volleyball read it. And now here is the artwork that I'm going to show on the board. So here is the artist image of our one-word image. You can see he did a great job. This is the creation. He got all the details he needed. He had some time to add some color. If your artist runs out of time or you run out of time, you can always add things or take away things later after class. And what you do then is you take the artwork and you scan it into a PDF. Most copy machines at school districts will just send it right to your email, so it's real easy that way. And now you have a valuable resource for the next day to talk and to write whatever you want to do with the image for follow-up activities.
And has
All right.
very long legs. Se llama Edward.
Can I get a drum roll, please, for Glenn's amazing artwork? Boom. Me gusta.
I know,
Me
right?
gusta el arte de Glenn. Es fantástico. ¿Es un perro?
No.
¿Mono?
No.
¿No qué es?
Un huevo.
Es un huevo. Es un huevo. ¿Grande o pequeño? Grande. ¿Es senior schedule?
¿Sí?
No. No es senior schedule. Yo no sé. Yo no sé hablar. Yo no sé hablar árabe. Árabe.
So yeah, I just kind of do a picture talk with the artwork. After that's done, I pair students up to do like a retell, or just give them 45 seconds to tell as much as they can about our character, and their partner keeps track. Then we take a yes or no quiz. They get to use their artwork with labels on it, so it should be a real easy quiz to take. And that can be done. One other thing I like to do, I'm going to show you right now, is show everybody else's artwork. So some of the artwork that they did as well, and it just gives you extra repetitions, and it can be really fun and funny in class. So check this out here.
Bien? How'd you guys do on your last test? Good? All right, fantástico. Go ahead and hit the lights for us. We want to see some other obras de arte. Ese me gusta mucho. Me gusta. Ustedes saben dibujar como Michelangelo. Son increíbles ustedes. Me gusta mucho este. Porque Edward también sabe karate. También sabe karate. Y Senior Schedule está enojado. Y muy pequeño, muy pequeño. Mira los dientes. It scares me a little bit.
It's the sharp teeth, man. That hairy legs too.
Oh, sí es cierto. Tiene pelo en las piernas. Excelente, ese me gusta mucho. Me gusta mucho este. Mira, Edward. Bien, ¿no? Dos piernas largas. Otra vez con los dientes afilados. What is it with you guys and like the sharp teeth?
They both also have He's got a shell.
Oh, so it would be naturally.
Yeah, when
Here I just run through everybody's drawing in class. When you scan those in, don't put names on them, because not everybody's going to feel comfortable with their artwork displayed up on the board. So I make it just an anonymous little project here. If a student wants to say, hey, that's mine, then great, but they definitely don't have to do that. Okay, so that's some of the great things you can do with one-word images. I'm going to show you some of my favorite images here over the last year and a half or so. Thanks a lot. Over the years, we've created different pets, and I like to save all the artwork for the future. And it's just really fun stuff. Here's Bethany. She's a flying koala with 3 eyes. Here is Butter. He's an 8-eyed pencil that hops around. Here is, oh, and Butter wants to be a real boy. Here is Myotosis. She is a leaf, speaks multiple languages. And here is King Arit. He is a large purple carrot that gets carried around by his followers. So all these are just great, interesting images that you create in class to develop community and get lots of interesting language use from.